All right, shifting our focus now to the Senate and tort reform, or something to that effect, Dave. We got.
It's been more of like a cluster mess of something.
Yeah.
Right. We've had a lot of conversations over the last few weeks talking about what's going on with tort reform, with liquor liability.
And why it's important to people watching.
Right, because Senator Kimbrell, Republican there from Spartanburg, has taken some time from the busy legislative week, or maybe not so busy legislative week.
But not productive.
It's been busy, but busy doesn't necessarily equal productive. That's the right term that you use there, yeah.
You spent the last 2 weeks now with this tort reform, liquor liability bill just going back and forth. Is there any process that you see that this moves forward in?
Look, one of the things I've continually said, and I said this on the floor of the Senate pretty early on, that I'm not the senator for all nines or all state. That's the line I keep using, because that seems to be where the dig-in is. You've got some folks that want to go one extreme or the other, and both of those are bad. I mean, you don't want a bill that is going to give everything to, there are good, responsible lawyers out there. There's good, responsible insurance folks out there. There are bad lawyers out there. There's bad insurance folks out there. And anybody that wants to make it all about protecting insurance at all costs or certain trial lawyers at all costs, that's a mistake. The job needs to be protecting small business owners, protecting bars and restaurants, protecting families. And that's getting lost in translation with all these attacks flying at both sides. You've got two sides that are entrenched and dug in. Most of us are trying to figure out, okay, let's find something that most all of us can live with. I've found that most deals in life are when both sides are kind of unhappy. So we need to basically figure out what the insurers need to give up some things, the trial bar needs to give up some things. Where do we come down to where we can bring down the rates, make sure people can get good coverage that's cheaper than it is now, folks aren't getting dropped and bars aren't shutting down, restaurants aren't shutting down, and businesses as a whole are doing better. That's what we've got to get to.
That's what we want. And when you talk about this, it does sound like it's just a butting of heads, and that's all it probably could continue to be as you continue that debate.
That's where it is right now.
Do you think that version that you're working on in the Senate ever gets through, or are you just going to have to take what the House has already passed when it comes just to strictly liquor liability?
Well, look, I mean, the House bill, and I applaud them for getting it done. I mean, I'll certainly vote for that. If we actually polled that out this week, Senate Judiciary Committee members, we polled that out on the floor. It's on the floor now. I would probably tweak it, make it a little stronger, but I'd vote for it. We'd probably need to make a few changes. You've got the House bill, which probably needs a little strengthening, and then you got the Senate bill, which is just kind of like it's just a huge omnibus bill.
Throw a blanket over something.
And there's some good things in that, and there's some things that are not in it. Let me tell you what I do like and the things I don't like, and this is where I think the compromise has to come down. There's some things in there on medical malpractice that are good when you limit occurrences. That's fine. There's some things on there to make sure we don't just go after the deepest pockets in any given lawsuit. That's fine. There's some things in there that work on liquor liability. That's good. Okay, here's what the problem is, though. This non-party defendant thing where you can just have insurance companies blame anybody they want to not pay a claim is not good. When you just name some random person in a lawsuit at the end so insurance companies can find a way not to pay, that's not going to help small businesses. That's not going to help families. When you give insurance companies 10 to 12 months to adjudicate a claim, how does that help anybody, particularly when you represent an area like I do that got whacked by Hurricane Helene last September? I don't think anybody wants to give another 10 months for that. So there's some good things in 244. There's some bad things in it. The problem is most of us that are trying to negotiate in good faith, you got $500,000-$600,000 in spending by the insurance folks, $500,000-$600,000 in spending by the trial lawyers, and then you're just getting bombarded. And the general public's out here thinking, all right, we don't want to bail out the insurance companies, but we also want to get rates down. And I think what my job is, and I think people agree with me on this, we're not here to bail out insurance companies. We're not here to write a check to the all nines. We just want to find a way for the responsible lawyers who are trying to do the right thing. We're not trying to hurt them. For the insurance companies that are trying to do the right thing, we don't want to hurt them. We just want to help the small businesses.